Our meeting is being live streamed today, so I've handed out the meeting procedures in the gallery. When it comes to your application, we ask that you just stand, identify yourself, and the chair will invite you to speak at the correct opportunity. If you feel your voice isn't going to carry, please come to the mic. There isn't too much interference in here today, but you can also come to the mic to speak if you wish. And then once you're finished with the mic, then we will sanitize the mic in case the next speaker wishes to use the mic as well. But in the meantime, if you'd like to just stand where you are and speak, and you feel that your voice will carry, that's perfectly fine. So, Mr. Chair, if you want to call it to order.
I'll call it to order. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, it's 2:01. I can confirm that we have a quorum. And Mr. Chair, new to our meetings is the land acknowledgement, so I will proceed with that. I acknowledge with respect that we're in the Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bowading. Bowading is the home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. Mr. Chair, if I could have a motion for minutes of the last hearing, and that would be April 27th.
Thank you. First off, Joe, all in favor?
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I've had no advisement of pecuniary interest. Is there any? Seeing none, I'll record none. Mr. Chair, I've not been requested to defer or withdraw any of the applications, so if you're okay, we'll move forward to the first. The first matter on our agenda is an application from William and Patricia Purdue, and Mr. Purdue is in the gallery. The subject property is 73 Muriel Drive. It's located on the southerly side of Muriel Drive between River Road and Queen Street East. It is designated residential in the official plan and is zoned R2 single unit residential. Relief is requested from the provisions of bylaw 2005-150 as amended to construct a 20.06 square meter or 216 square foot addition to the existing home by reducing the required northwesterly side yard. Specifically, section 9.6.2 requires a side yard of 3 meters. The Purdues are requesting to reduce the northwesterly side yard requirement to 2.13 meters for the proposed addition only. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments with external agencies for their review: Building, Planning, Engineering, Fire, Public Works, PUC Services, the Sault Ste. Marie Region Conservation Authority, and Bell Canada Right-of-Way. Staff had no comments or objections. Considerations for the committee: there's no staff objections and no evidence has been submitted that shows any negative impact if the application is approved. Again, it's Mr. William Purdue in attendance.
Questions, comments? Thank you. Any members, questions, comments?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Motion by us, Joe Greco, second. By Mr. Greenberg, all in favor? Here.
Thank you. Mr. Purdue, your application has been approved. You're free to leave if you wish, or you're free to stay. We can do that as well. Sign. Moving to item 2 on our agenda. You know what? We'll put item 2 down and we'll move to item 3 since the proponents are in the gallery. So if we could move to item 3 on your agenda, that's an application B1722 from 786211 Ontario Limited. The subject property is 16 Caesar Road. Mark Lepore, solicitor, is in attendance, and you don't have to stand until you want to speak. I didn't make that clear, unfortunately. Again, the subject property is 16 Caesar Road. It is located on the north side of Caesar Road at the T intersection of Caesar Road and Angelina Avenue. The property is designated residential in the official plan, save and except the rear 6 meters, which is designated commercial. The subject property is zone C4 with a special provision, S42 general commercial. The applicant is seeking the committee's consent to sever a rear portion of the subject property being approximately 15.24 meters or 50 feet wide, having a depth of 5.18 meters or 17 feet and an approximate area of 79 square meters or 0.02 acres. The proposed severed parcel would be conveyed as a lot addition to the northerly abutting property identified as PIN 31517-0006 in land title civic number 149 Trunk Road. The residentially developed retained lands will be approximately 0.13 acres in size. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. The abutting property owner at 20 Caesar Road expressed concern about drainage. She advised that the owner of 149 Trunk Road has built up the proposed severed parcel by approximately 2 feet, filling it in with gravel. She wants assurance that this won't cause excess water to negatively impact her yard or garage. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to internal departments and external agencies for their review. Building, planning, engineering, fire, public works, Bell Canada right-of-way, Sault Ste. Marie Conservation Authority had no objections. Building division advised that the existing site plan control agreement may need to be amended to include the proposed severed parcel or a new site plan control agreement entered into for the proposed severed property. Engineering staff, as per rezoning comments, staff recommends that this property be subject to site plan control and that a grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of the Director of Engineering or his designate to address the surface drainage and snow storage. Considerations for the committee recommend that any approval be made conditional on designating the property subject to site plan control and that a grading plan be submitted to the satisfaction of the Director of Engineering or his designate. And in that line, I believe that would address the abutting neighbors' concerns. Customary conditions to be applied but not limited to approvals of this nature are provision of a registered survey plan. I have on there payment of parks levy, but that will not be attached. It's a lot addition. Payment of certificate fee, provision of a lot grading and drainage plan for approval, designate the property subject to site plan control, provision of applicable transfer documents, discharge or partial discharge of charge or mortgage, and payment of municipal taxes. And those are my submissions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Michelle.
And again, it's Mr. Lepore.
Mr. Lepore, yeah, anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any comments in particular. I find some able with the conditions. We don't want to affect the neighboring properties drainage. That's already been in the works, so we're aware of that. And the new zoning was approved 2 months ago by council. We're trying to know the issue.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? This application? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll move back to item 2 on our agenda. And I anticipated Mr. Gennaro Janua being here, but he's not. So Gennaro Janua, does the committee want to proceed in his absence? It's
I think it's.
not particular. I think we can deal with it. Okay. Gennaro Janua is the owner of 10 East Braemar Bay. The subject property is located on the east side of the east leg of East Braemar Bay, north of off Talek Boulevard. The application is that the committee consider a minor variance to reduce the minimum distance from the north interior side lot line to 0.83 meters or 2.75 feet to legitimize the existing attached garage, whereas section 9.1.5 of zoning bylaw 2005-150 as amended requires a 1.2 meter or 3.93 meter setback in this instance. Specific sections are 9.1.5, which requires the 1.2 meter side yard. They seek to reduce that north interior side yard requirement to 0.583 meters or 1.91 feet for the existing garage only. Also, section 4.2, eave cannot project closer than 0.3 meters or 1 foot to the lot line. They're seeking the committee's approval to permit the eave to project to within 0.23 meters or 0.76 feet to the north lot line. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. The neighboring property owner at 12 East Bramer Bay advised that he has no issues based on the understanding that he and the applicant had when the applicant applied for the previous variance. That is to say, he would support the request provided no heat was ever put in the garage. He requested that any approval be made conditional on no heat being permitted. As part of the application review, building, planning, engineering, fire, PUC, Conservation Authority, and Bell Canada right-of-way were circulated. Building division staff recommended that eaves trough be installed and maintained to ensure that drainage does not adversely impact adjacent private property. Engineering staff advised that drainage must be directed away from adjacent property. Legal department supports comments submitted by the building division staff. Considerations: previous 2012 variance approval reduced the side yard requirement to 0.83 meters or 2.75 feet, after which a surveyor sketch revealed a discrepancy in the house location, which caused the previous approval to be insufficient and resulted in the current request. Recommend any approval be made conditional on the garage must remain an unheated garage and that eaves trough be installed on the eave. And with that in mind, it may affect the setback that he's requested for the eave. And I would suggest that your approval should include that projection and the adjustment if any is required. And those are my submissions, Mr. Chair.
Genoa understood, or Gennaro, sorry, Gennaro understood that he wouldn't be able to heat his garage.
Well, he understood it in the previous app. It was not even,
Okay.
it was not even to be honest, it was not even a point in the previous application.
Okay.
It only came to my attention when the neighbor called me yesterday and said, you know, I don't have a problem as long as he stands by our agreement. And I said, well, that's an agreement between you and him. And if he sells the property down the road, you've got no agreement with anybody. I checked with the chief building official and he supports putting no heat in the garage. There's a certain amount of heat that you're permitted, and it's a decibel level or something, which wouldn't be an issue, but putting a furnace or propane furnace or something like that would be an issue. And yeah, so,
Is that an issue that this committee can consider?
pardon?
Isn't that a building department issue or a building permit issue? I don't know that I don't know that we can make an order that there be no heat in on
Yeah.
this application.
We can make an order on that. I checked with the chief building
Okay.
official to confirm that.
Okay,
We can make any condition that we think applies to the application.
okay,
Like a window.
right.
I would suggest if we're not comfortable, or if anyone is not comfortable with the condition about the heat though, that we would defer the application. We should be deferring then and require that both the neighbor and Mr. Gennaro attend, but I think,
I think at least it's, if we were saying that we are permitting heat, then it'd be different, but
Yeah.
since we're like giving the optimal, like, okay, if anything goes wrong, it's not our. I think I'm comfortable with it. I don't,
mhm.
I'll put for, with the conditions, yeah.
Second by. All in favor?
I don't know.
Yeah.
See everybody's
Anybody?
hand that's in
Sorry.
favor?
I don't know that, I'm having trouble with that heat.
You're having trouble with keeping that you can or cannot.
Now, I don't know if we,
Well, we have the motion on the floor, so let's just vote, and if he wants to vote.
you know what,
again,
that's fine. I can be comfortable with it. I'll call a vote. Mr. Chair.
All in favor, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Our next meeting is June 27th. It will be open in the council chambers. It's the intent to open, to have all staff back on June 13th. That does not mean that the public has access to anything beyond the lobby, but we're the only meeting that is held open in the building. Other public meetings will be permitted. Yeah. And we will be live streamed and zoomed, and I've provided the new board procedures for you to peruse when you have time. There's not a whole lot of changes. but-
Sorry, Michelle, what was
So-
the date?
Pardon me,
What's the date for next meeting?
June 27th,
Second.
I mean-
22nd.
June 22nd, sorry.
July 22nd.
So it's- Yeah. I'm working on July now, so.
Got it.
So seeing no other business, Mr. Chair, do you want to adjourn?
We'll go adjourn. Thank you. All in favor?